It is often said Guilin's scenery is the best among China. Actually, the beauty of Guilin lies in the beauty of its mountains and waters and the closeness of them. The mountains or the waters alone are not much more beautiful than those in other places, but if we view them together, they are very beautiful. First, let's see the mountains of Guilin, because this place is karst formation. So the mountains, especially around the river, they are not very rolling. They're just isolated small mountains, low and very low. So there are mountains of various types. In this case, it's very beautiful if you view the mountains, use your imaginations. You can imagine them to be a great many kinds of things. Another thing is that the mountains are usually close to the rivers. So this is the beauty of Guilin, the uniqueness of its beauty. Whether it is the most beautiful is arguable, but it's very beautiful indeed. Another thing is that if you visit Guilin, there are two places you should go. First is the Guilin city. Another is Yangshuo County. In terms of natural beauty, Yangshuo County is the place you should go. But Guilin has been the administrative center of Guangxi province for centuries. So in this case, probably you should go to Guilin because, for example, I go to Guilin mainly for cultural reasons. So I just go to Guilin city, not to Yangshuo County, because it was early winter. So it have to be next time. These two places just 40 kilometers away. It's not very convenient. Now let's talk about the main attractions in Guilin. There are several very famous scenic areas in Guilin. It is often said is called 3 mountains, 4 lakes, 2 rivers. Actually, the 4 lakes are just in the Guilin city. The most interesting parts are the mountains and the river. The river is the river and its tributaries is most beautiful. The so-called 2 rivers is the river and its tributary, Peach Blossom River. Actually, it has another major tributary of the river is called Little East River, but this is less famous. Of course, there are other smaller tributaries. The 3 mountains, one is called Elephant Trunk Mount. The other is called Wave Subduing Mount. The third is called Diecai Mount. The Elephant Trunk Mount, because one part of the cave it's very like an elephant drinking from the river, Li River. So it's called. There is a cave. It's a you can see through it. This you can see this type of this shape actually in other places, but in this mount is more obvious, so it's very famous. The hill itself is very low. We can climb to the top, but it's low, but it's steep, so it won't take you much time, but it's a little tiring. Because the hills are very small and often they are isolated, so you can also walk around them. So this is the interesting part of tour in Guilin, the mount part. But the other side is that there is not very it's not a vehicle road for it. You cannot ride a bicycle or ride a car to the peak. You must walk through the staircase. Sometimes there's no staircase. In other case, it's too dangerous for you to climb to the top, so it's often sealed off. This is the peak of the Elephant Trunk Mount, Li River, and the Peach Blossom River. And in Guilin, the buildings are like in European countries. They are not very high. Usually, it won't higher than 8 stories. So this is kind of special in China. In China, because it's Chinese cities are usually very crowded. You see high rises, but this is the attractive part of Guilin. We see those mountains, many shape. You can say they are like sheep. You can say they are like cow. You can say that they're like a pig, or they're like a cloud. You just use your imagination. And the river is very clear because its flow usually is pebbles, so it's very clear. But if you only want to admire the natural beauty, the city its part is not the best. You should go to Yangzhou County, because those buildings, those concrete buildings, they will affect the viewer, kind of. The best hill to view the Guilin city is called Diecai Mount. Diecai Mount. This is called the Leisure Pavilion. Is close to Li River. This is east-west lane. Almost every tourist city in China has this kind of ancient ranges. Twin towers. This twin tower, Sun Pagoda, Moon Pagoda. This is on the so-called 4 lakes in Guilin. The 4 lakes, they are formed by Li River. They are not very big, kind of beautiful. They are not the most attractive part, but kind of beautiful. I say the scenery I see in Guilin is not the best I have seen in China. This is Elephant Trunk Hill. See, it's like an elephant drinking from river. This is a Guilin Museum. As I said before, Guilin has been the capital of Guangxi province, but its lost this status 70 years ago. So currently, Guilin is only the third largest city in Guangxi province. So this is not too much culture, unfortunately, to see in Guilin, because if you want to see museums, you probably should go to Nanning, the capital city. The Guilin Museum, just one time, you can visit, well, to 1.5 hours. I finished visiting it. This is official residence of Li Zongren. He's a native of Guilin. He was vice president for the Republic of China and the interim president for a short time. In the early part of the 20th century, Guangxi is a very important province because of it's called Guangxi warlords. They did a rather good job in Guangxi. Under their rule, Guangxi was developing very fast. But we should remember this: Guangxi has often been the most backward and the poorest province in China because of its a frontier province, and it's very beautiful, but it's not very good for farming. Its land is not very good for farming. We see these hills and this karst. Now it's not very good for farming, and but in the 1920s to 30s, they had been developing not well. This is another park, Chuanshan Park. If you go to this mount, we can view Li River and the Little East River. The Little East River is one of the two major tributaries in Guilin. It's not as famous as the Peach Blossom River, but it's also very beautiful. This is the view from the mount top of Chuanshan. This dust view of Guilin city. This Li River and the East River also very beautiful. Later, better part in this Guilin tour is that it has a few places that's free of charge for people outside Guilin. So these scenery areas, they are not big, they're just small, but they often charge you. So it's a place just you won't stay too long, but that kind of just you go to a small place, you have to pay the entrance fee. That's not the proper type of travel, right? Okay, that's it for this episode. Thanks.